Welcome back to Extra Points. Al Lorenzen, and we're here today with Nick Rule, William Penn's women's golf coach, easy for me to say, and Director of Community Relations or University Relations. That's a lot to put on a business card or to put into a title. Let's start with, what's your first love? I mean, when you go into work every day, are you, I mean, assuming your bosses are watching this, are you spending more time on community relations or women's golf?
When it comes down to it, you know, it's a balancing act. And a lot of small universities,
You're handling that question really well.
You know, just in case they watch, right? But, you know, I try to, during the day, try to really focus on, you know, my work with alumni and reaching out to, you know, alum all across the country. In William Penn University, you know, at various times you can have students from 48 different states and 16 different countries. And, you know, you have two different...
For a small university, that's saying something.
Yeah.
How do you have that diverse student population?
You know, I tell people like this all the time. We get a lot of students from out west, and I grew up out west, and in Iowa you have 30 plus small schools. Out west, that's not necessarily the case. So when you see a lot of kids from California, Idaho, Utah coming to these schools in the Midwest, it's because there's not places that go out there for them to compete athletically and
Let's
such.
unpack that story a little bit. You're from Idaho.
Yeah, I am.
How did you end up here? I mean, obviously there was sports involved, but that's still a pretty significant journey.
Yeah, I wanted to get out of the community that I grew up in.
You came here for the climate? They told you that Iowa was warm and tropical?
Yeah, I thought it was palm trees and everything, and I came here and I realized there's just a bunch of snow. And it's a lot like Idaho, actually.
And we don't have mountains.
No, no mountains. I do miss the mountains, but the people here in the Midwest really make the difference between, you know, where I grew up. I love where I grew up out in the Rocky Mountain West, but you have wide open spaces out there, and you don't necessarily have to communicate with folks as much or as often. And so out here, you know, people really understand what it's like to build a relationship and such. So I started out there, came out to William Penn, had a soccer scholarship, ended up playing golf as well. And I just, something about the place just grew on me. And you know, it's kind of a cliche, but I tell people that I bleed blue and gold because I really do. I mean, I'm here in Iowa still because of William Penn University, and I'd like to be there the rest of my life. And so, you know, that's how I got there. And you know, I graduated in 2010, and now I'm kind of there, and I'm staying for a while. I hope, as long as they'll have me.
What a great story. Let's talk a little bit about your responsibilities in terms of building and maintaining the women's golf program there. What does that look like? What's your recruiting focus? And then obviously, in terms of competition, where are you at in terms of the program's development, and where do you want to be?
You know, when I took over the program, we barely had a team, and the women's golf program was reintroduced in 2009. And while I was actually a student, I was on student government and did a few other things. I was approached by our sports information director and said, hey, you're graduating in 2010. We're going to be looking for a women's golf coach. What do you think? I grew up playing golf. My grandpa taught me the game at a young age, and I've loved, you know, worked at a golf course and loved learning the golf swing. And I said, sure.
What's not to like about golf?
Yeah, exactly, except when you play bad. And then it's frustrating, right? And you know, and had the opportunity and ended up working for Musco Lighting for a little bit and coaching golf, and you know, it kind of got me hooked. And so when I started the program, I wrote a list of everything that I liked about the programs I played in, and then I also, on the second column of that sheet of paper, I wrote a list of everything that I didn't like. Try to focus on that player's perspective still today. And what we look for in our recruiting is we look for good people who want to excel in life, who have values, and who happen to be able to swing the club. And are good
I
at
have
doing
none of those things, so I would not have been somebody you'd have recruited.
But you know, you did well in the sport that you were recruited in. See, I'm 5'7",
you don't have to be a good person who have values to excel at basketball. I think I'm proof of that. But so, do you have a specific area or regions of the country, or how do you begin that process? I mean, you're a small school in Oskaloosa, Iowa. You're attracting a lot of your golfers from different areas around the country. Connect the dots for me.
Yeah, you know, golf is one of those sports that, and especially a women's sport, is that there are a lot of players out there that want to be able to play at the next level but don't necessarily know what it takes to get there. So we reach out to them. They reach out to us too, but we have a spreadsheet that starts off with hundreds of names, and we just whittle it down week by week to where we feel like we have a good core of people that want to be a part of the program, want to be a part of a team, want to be a teammate. Right. And you know, we get to that point. We have kids from all over the country and the world. We have a girl from South Africa, girls from California, Idaho, Iowa, of course. About a third of our team are Iowans. Minnesota, We've got a girl coming in from Texas next year. But the draw is when we talk about our program, we're not selling we are selling, but it's not a sales pitch to where there's false pretenses that go with it. We're selling a family.
You're not lying to the kids.
No, we're just telling them straight
What kind
up
of
what it is.
recruiter are you? I mean, I thought that was part and parcel.
That's one thing, we talk about the list. That's one thing that I didn't like when I was being recruited, is that I never felt like I was getting a genuine conversation from a coach.
They tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. And so we tell them what it is, and hopefully it's what they want to hear, but we want to build that relationship. So
from a competitive standpoint, where are you at in terms of your peers, and then certainly within the development of that program? If it was reintroduced in 2009, certainly it's a fairly new, fairly young situation.
In 2010, it was a crazy year because we weren't very good. We were probably one of the worst programs in the nation. And through building this team camaraderie and everything, we're now number 21 in the nation.
Wow.
And so,
congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that. We got a lot of girls that work really hard, and they buy into what we're offering.
Now, how do you get around this thing called winter here in the Midwest? Obviously, any sport, particularly to be in a top 25 nationally, there's a year-round commitment, and I understand some of that's fitness, some of it's strength training, a lot of it's mental preparation.
Yep.
But then there's this muscle memory thing, and there's no substitution for that. So how do you get around this thing we call winter here? Well, I know you don't call it winter in Idaho, but in Iowa, it's flat out winter.
It's just another day in Idaho. But, all of the above, really. I mean, we start at the end of our fall season, because it's a two-season sport, fall and spring, and collegiate level. We take a few weeks off, then we get back at it, and we're in the weight room. But golfers, we're not working on, bench pressing. It's muscle memory.
Not like softball players, for example, that really want to get huge.
No, we're not lifting like a softball player. We're not trying to hit home runs.
Sure.
But I call it golf muscle. So it's moderate, toned muscle that we build, and flexibility. And we have a strength trainer on campus that strictly is assigned to our team and has helped us with that. And the second part of it is we have a beautiful indoor facility. Mike Fluff Cowan, who is Jim Furyk's current caddy, Tiger Woods' old caddy.
Anybody that's ever watched the PGA knows Fluff.
Oh yeah,
you gotta love Fluff.
Yeah, he's great. And he actually came back when I was a player at William Penn and had a fundraiser for us. Just an unbelievable person, first off, fun guy. But he helped us fundraise for an indoor facility, which we have. And then also with the addition of the Penn Activity Center at William Penn, we use the turf for 50-yard shots and in, and so we're able to do what we need to do to prepare for the spring season.
Fantastic. Well, obviously you're passionate about the young people and certainly how that morphs into that team experience, but you're also passionate about what you do in terms of how you work with alumni and give us your elevator speech. We've got about a minute left in the segment.
Sure.
What does that mean, and how does that impact the university community as a whole?
Yeah, as I said before, we have people from all over the world that have come to William Penn University and are alum. And it's tough to reach out to all of them, but that's the effort that we're making now with William Penn College Working Adults and our traditional campus. We have the people in place that we're able to go out and talk about what's going on at William Penn, because it's a very exciting time.
Well, I was going to say, and there's a lot going on there, and it's progressive when I look and compare what William Penn's doing to other institutions of similar size.
Yeah, it varies. I mean, we're getting in touch with the military. General Tommy Franks is helping us with a lot of outreach there, and we're looking to provide a sustainable future for a small university in a climate that isn't necessarily too conducive for that.
Well, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
We appreciate what you do both with the alumni at your university relations position and certainly what you've begun to build within the women's golf program.
I appreciate that, Al.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Extra Points right after this. If you didn't know anybody, you'd say we swore we knew what we were doing.